Okay, so let's start with the items that you'll need to be able to put these diapers together. So first off, we have a pattern. This pattern will have your measurements on it. It'll also be color coded. We'll get to that in just a minute. You'll need material. We'll have 3 different kinds. We'll have the insert, the outer, and the inner. So we'll have 3 different types there. And then you'll need scissors, something to measure with, thread, elastic. You'll also need a safety pin for the elastic. You'll need 2 different color markers. You'll need alligator clips. We need those because this material right here cannot be pinned. And so when we're putting the diaper together, we want to use these alligator clips so we're not ruining this material. And then you'll also need this instrument with these buttons. Those are what are going to help snap the diaper together. So this is a special tool that will help make those snaps work. So I want to show you the fabrics that we're using. This one right here is called Zorb. The reason why we've gone with this material is it is very absorbent. It can absorb 10 times its amount of weight in fluid. So it's really easy to work with. We have serged around these sides, but I don't think you need to once you cut them. We won't need to serge around them, but this is going to be our inside insert. Our other fabric that we have, this is our outer shell. The outer shell just has a kind of a normal side on this. And then on the inside it's got what's called a PUL layer, or it's kind of a plasticky. It helps to keep the diaper from leaking. So it's a absorbent, not absorbent, it's a waterproof. But the reason why I went again with this specific fabric is because it's breathable. The concerns about having a non-breathable material in a very hot climate like Mali is that the little baby's bum will not be able to breathe very well, especially when it's moist, and it can they can develop some real bad diaper rash and sores, and so we wanted to not make that worse. So we went with this fabric. So it's a little bit, it's not one that you can get at any store, but I think it's going to be best for the climate and what we're using with it. And then our last one is this kind of this jersey knit. It's a sportswear. It's a really moisture wicking material. So this is the side that will be up against the insert, and then this will be the side that will be up against baby. And it's absorbent, but it also pushes fluid away from it, so it will go right into the insert instead of sitting on the baby's bum. So again, this isn't one that we can find. Also, something special about this is all of these have antimicrobial properties. We're trying to keep these babies from getting so sick, and even with these diapers, they may not have the best cleaning techniques. So we're hoping with the antimicrobial and the silver in the fabrics that it will keep them a little bit healthier. So they're special fabrics, but I think it's going to do the best for what we need with our diapers. Okay, so let's talk about this pattern real quick. This pattern has these measurements on the side for your elastic. It also has the measurement for this insert, so you can make those as well. And then you also see these holes right here with the different colors. Now, you don't have to use these colors, but these are the colors that we used. It helps us differentiate between the 2 different kinds of snaps. The red, so on this top row of the diaper, this red is for the female snaps, and the black is for the male snaps. And we can show you those here in just a little bit. But as you're making the diaper, you'll want to use 2 different colors so you don't get those male and female parts mixed up. So you'll use this to both cut out your outer shell as well as your inner shell. So here's the outer shell. I've gone ahead and cut that out. Make sure that you're being real true to those sides, because when you put them together, it makes it a little tricky if your sides aren't lined up. So now I'm going to put this on top of here, and you can see as I line it up, I'm going to go ahead and make the marks. This is the first step you do after cutting out the shell. The reason why you need to do this now is because we're going to put the snaps in before we start sewing. So this is my mom. She's going to go ahead and start marking these, and it's simple. It's just Real quick, nothing fancy, just to help make sure that you're in the right spot. Now we're gonna mark all of these. You can see there's snaps down here. There's also snaps up here. We will only be putting the snaps down here before we sew the inside and the outside together. These top ones where the flaps are that close the diaper, these need to be put in after the diaper's complete. But these ones have to be put in before we start sewing, or else the insert will not fit. Okay, she's got those all marked. Now our next step is to go ahead and start putting the snaps in. Okay, so most snaps will come in just a big collection like this. So there's 3 different pieces. There's this part, let me grab one. There's this part right here that has this. This will fit with both the male and the female. We'll use this one, so you should have the most of these ones, okay? So that's one side of the snap. Oh, we've got these 2 right here. So this one right here is the female, and you can see that is just, it's flat, and that will make it so the male will fit right into it. And then this other one right here, it kind of sticks out a little bit. This is the male. When I lost it. That one's kind of a little bit more of a, has a ridge on it. So those are the 3 different kinds in there. And then let's go ahead and show you how to put these in. Okay, so here's my markings that I have. It's a little bit difficult on this color of fabric, but this is our red and this was our black. So our red were for the female. So you're gonna take this tool. Most of these snap packages come with this tool, with both of these tools. You'll need them both. This one right here, first you're going to poke right through that. We wanna be careful when we're poking on these that we're only poking once, because it will ruin this kind of waterproof backing, and we want to make these as waterproof as we possibly can. So now we're going to put this backing on and just push it right up in. And remember, this row, this top row is our female row, so it's going to be the one that is more flat. So we're going to push those together. Then I'm going to take this tool, and this black part right here will fit that pointy part. And then you can see it's sticking out right here. When I push this down, it will then cinch that top part. And now we have this connected, okay? So we'll do that along for all of the female parts. Let me show you real quick the male part as well. So I'll come back in here with my tool. And again, this is our black mark, or our second row. I'll put this backing on. And then I'm gonna get the male part. We'll take our tool, we'll put it right in that and push down and back up. And you'll see that it will cinch that down, and then these will be able to stick together now. Okay, so now this is a completed outer shell. That we're at the step where we can start putting the outer shell with the inner shell. Now remember, we only do the snaps right here. We wait to do these snaps on the tabs until after we've completed the diaper. Okay, so now I have this piece right here, and it's the exact same pattern as this outer shell. And we're gonna be putting the right sides together. So those snaps are gonna be covered up, and this is gonna be the back side of the inner shell. Now we're using these alligator clips. Remember, if you use pins, it's gonna impact the integrity of that waterproof outer layer. So we don't wanna do that. So we're just gonna use these alligator clips and just clip it down, so then we can go and sew it. Okay, and as my mom's finishing putting those alligator clips, there's another thing we need to do before we sew this, and it is to make marks where our elastic's gonna go for the legs. So if I were to put this back on here, you can see on this pattern, this is where the elastic's gonna go to cinch up around the baby's leg. And we need to make sure that we're making marks on that, so that way after we sew it, we'll know right where to sew in the elastic. So we're gonna make that on all sides. Perfect. Okay, so when you're sewing this, you wanna start this back panel right here is gonna be folded over, and we're gonna use that to put some elastic in and make it so it's more leak proof out the back of the diaper. So we're not gonna sew that right now. What we are gonna do is we're gonna start in this corner, and we're gonna do a quarter seam around the entire diaper except for that back panel. So she's gonna start right here. So I would recommend putting your needle down, so that way as you're turning and flipping, you can just follow that whole outline of the diaper. Make sure that as you're starting, you always do a back stitch to make sure to tie off those, that thread. Mom, I'm gonna put your needle down. So as you keep that needle down, you can lift up your foot and just turn it. So you just keep following it around the diaper. Okay, so she's gonna keep doing this until we get to that back panel. Okay, so your next step after sewing around the diaper is you need to get your elastic ready. So this elastic right here, this is 3/8 of an inch wide elastic. And we need 4 pieces. We need 2 for the back of the diaper, and then we need 1 for each leg. So the one for the back of the diaper, that's the one we're gonna be sewing next. We need it to be 3 5/8. So I have both of those ones right here. Actually, these ones, here we go. And then the ones for the legs need to be 5 3/4. So I have both of those right there. Okay, so we finished sewing around the diaper, and she's made it to just right here. She started right here, she's made it to right here. So this part right here is not sewn, it's open, okay? And then the next step is we're gonna fold that down, and we're gonna get it ready to put that elastic in. We're still gonna use those alligator clips. Technically, you could use pins on this side. You just wanna make sure not to pin this waterproof layer. You just wanna pin the jersey inside layer. So she's gonna do that. And then she's gonna sew that still at a quarter.
No.
Oh no? What are we sewing this, Mom?
It'll be about 5/8
Okay.
in from the fold.
In from the fold.
Because you're making the casing.
Yeah, we're making the casing for the elastic to go in. And you want to be careful not to sew anything but this interior or inside layer. The first time I did it, I kind of got that waterproof layer a little bit stuck up underneath there, so make sure that you're extra careful when you're doing that. Okay, now she's sewn down both sides. So she's sewn down this side to do the casing, and she's also sewn down this side. So we're gonna do, it's the exact same process on both sides. Now we're gonna put the elastic in. So we've just put a safety pin through that elastic, and we're just gonna feed it through. And remember, this is gonna be the same for the other side as well. So just repeat this step for the other side. Now this is a little bit tricky because you don't wanna pull all the way through. You wanna leave just a little bit So then she can go ahead and sew that. Okay, so she clipped it on the one side to hold it in place, and she's gonna do this on the same side over here. So we've got elastic going to the edges on both sides. And then we're gonna sew them. And you wanna reinforce this a few times just to make sure that it's gonna stay put when we stretch it. And we'll do that other side. Now you wanna be careful here not to let go of your elastic, because if you let go of your elastic, like my mom did, it's gonna be hard to thread it back in. It's possible, but it's gonna be tough to thread it back in. So you just wanna make sure to either pin it really well or alligator clip it, just to make sure it stays there, because it will try to stretch backwards. But it is possible. It's just tricky because you can't get back in there with that safety pin. She's gonna get this back in and put it right to the edge, and then she's gonna sew it just like she did the other side. And then we'll show you the completed elastic part on this back part of the diaper. Okay, so this is what it looks like after both of those sides are done with the elastic in them. And this is the part where we're gonna put the insert in for the inside of the diaper, the part that's going to absorb all the fluid.
So you've got your marks.
Yep, so we've got our marks now. This is our next step. This is, I think, the trickiest part of the whole diaper. So this is putting the elastic in for the legs. So remember those marks that we made when we had it cut out? We're going to now go put our elastic in it. So we want the elastic to be on this side of the seam, so on the inside of the seam. And then because this part right here is the part that we can pin, we're gonna be really careful not to get that back part, but we are gonna use a pin, and we're gonna pin one side of the elastic. So remember, there's two sides on each one for each side of the elastic. So we're on that side of the seam. Yeah, there we go. I'm just gonna pin that down, okay? And we're gonna do it to the other side. Here's your other elastic, Mom. Okay.
Now we have to turn it right side.
I just pin it as well here, and then I turn it all, but you do you.
Oh.
You do, no, show them.
No.
So there's two ways of doing it. My mom wants to turn it right side out. Mom wants to turn it right side out and then sew this first one, and then she wanted to go back in and turn it again and repin this second part. I just pin it all while I'm while I'm right side in. Is that the right word? Right side in. Before I flip it out, I just pin all of this. That way, oh, Mom said it. That way your elastic will not get twisted, and you're only having to flip it out just one time. Now this is tricky. My mom's making it look a little bit easy, but this is tricky getting this pinned, not getting the back part pinned, and it's just a little bit tricky, but be patient with yourself, it'll come. Okay, now she's gonna flip it. So the right side is out. Okay. She's fixing those corners. Careful not to poke yourself with those pins inside. Okay, and now we're gonna sew it. So what you wanna do, we're gonna make a casing for that elastic now. And we're gonna do it as we sew around the entire... Oh, you are gonna attach that down first, that's right.
Attach the elastic.
That's right, so we're gonna attach the elastic down first, where we pinned it, and then we'll sew around the entire diaper. We gotta fix this. So she's fixing it to make sure it goes on the other side of the seam, so when she pulls it out, that seam's not gonna be rolling over. Yeah, she's gonna do it nice and all lined up. So now we're gonna just reinforce that a couple of times and make sure that elastic stays. And we're gonna do that on each 4 spots that we pinned. And again, make sure that those seams are rolled out as much as you can. And reinforce that a few times. Okay, she's gonna go do the other 2 sides now. So now she's going to reach in and pull, not before she cuts those tails, she's gonna reach in and pull the pins out. So she's reinforced all 4 spots where those pins were so the elastic will stay. And she's just gonna pull all those pins out. Okay, so we pulled all those pins out, and my mom's just going through and making sure that each of these corners are really turned out before we do the next step, which is to sew around the entire diaper. So she's just using the end of her scissors to make sure, and if you've got a fancy tool to do this, you can. If you don't, you can do it with your hands. She's just using scissors to push those corners out just to make sure that they're really nice and pulled out before we sew it. So we've got those corners all turned out. Now she's gonna start sewing around the diaper the same that when she was sewing the shell to the inner lining. She's gonna start at where that back pocket is. And she's gonna go around the whole diaper. We're gonna stay here though, because we're gonna show you it's a little bit tricky when you get to the elastic. You need to sew around the elastic, so we're gonna show you how that is. Now, Mom, how close are you sewing this? A quarter of an inch. Put your needle down, Mom.
Every time?
No, but you didn't put it down last time. So she's just sewing around that edge, making sure those corners are down. And then we're gonna get to our elastic part. Okay, now she kind of, slow down, Mom. She kind of swung out a little bit, so she's not quite at a quarter inch. She swung out to where that seam was, where she reinforced that elastic. And now she's gonna sew on the outer side of the elastic. So it's gonna be a little bit wider here, and she's making sure to pull that elastic all the way to the seam to the side, so she's not sewing over the elastic. She's just sewing on the outside to make sure that that creates that casing for the elastic. The other thing she's doing as she's sewing this is she's making sure that that seam is pushed all the way to the side. And also she's straightening this. So there's a lot going on here with straightening the elastic and the fabric to make sure that it all lines up, that our seams are all lined up, and that we're not sewing over the elastic. Feel that, and yeah, and so she's using that finger, her pointer finger, to push that elastic over to make sure that she's not, and she's feeling for it to make sure she's not sewing over it. And as she's getting closer to where that end of that elastic is, she'll start swinging back closer and doing her quarter. Yeah, making sure that we have that elastic over so we're not sewing over top of it. What's going on?
My elastic is not in that seam.
Okay, so we're almost finishing that casing. And you can see that seam down there, that's where that elastic was reinforced right there. So when she gets there, she's gonna swing back so she can meet back with her, there's her swinging back so she can meet back to do her 1/4 inch seam around it. So this is a little bit tricky right here too, because with these snaps, it doesn't allow for a 1/4 seam allowance. So what we're gonna do is, if you're able to, and your machine lets you, you're gonna move your needle as far to the left as you can. Oh, to the right.
No, to the left.
Oh, that's right, as far to the left as you can. And it will make it so that needle will be close to those snaps, but your presser foot will be right next to it. So without doing this, it'll make, if you don't do this and you leave your needle in the middle, your presser foot will want to go over top of these snaps and it will make for a really kind of funky seam. So this is the best thing that we've been able to find to make it so it works a little bit better with those snaps. So I'm just gonna, so you see that needle is just all the way to the left. Okay, now we've moved that needle back to the center so she can continue with that 1/4 seam allowance. And then you can see just this makes it a little bit straighter up here, going around those tricky snaps. And then on this side, there's a little bit, you can see there's a little bit more allowance on this side than there is on the top. And then we're gonna go down the side and we're gonna do that other elastic casing. So she's doing a 1/4 right here, and then you can see that seam's coming up, and she's gonna just swing out, so she's not gonna go and sew on top of that elastic. We're gonna do that same thing of trying to get that edge to really line up while getting that elastic over.
And it's about a 5/8 inch.
Oh, and it's a 5/8 of an inch seam that we're doing here. And as she's sewing that, you can kind of see. You got it? Okay. Maybe I shouldn't mess with your diaper while you're trying to sew. Like I said, I think this is the trickiest part of the whole diaper. It's just a little, there's a lot of little things with the elastic, with the seam. Trying to do it, but keep working on it. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. We just need it to be functional. Getting back close to that other seam where the end of the elastic. And she'll come back. So there's the end of the elastic, and then we're gonna start heading back towards our 1/4 inch seam. We're gonna finish it until we get to this pocket in the back. Okay, so we've finished sewing around the edges, and I just wanna show you these elastic. So this is after she's gotten done sewing those elastic casings right here. And again, they're a little bit tricky, but they look just fine once we're all done. So now it's time to put these snaps on the top of the diaper, where these, what do you want to call that, flaps are. So we've got 2 red ones and a black one. So these red ones right here, again, are the female. And this time we're gonna put this back side. Before, remember, we put it this way. This is gonna be on the front now. So we're gonna put it on there, and we're gonna do, this is a female side, so we're gonna use that flat one. And where is my instruments? Right here. I can show you too how that black, this sits right in there. And then we just push down. Now it doesn't need to be extremely hard. I do it a couple of times just to make sure it's on there nice and snug. We're going to do both of these female sides, and it's going to go through both of those sets of fabric, whereas before it was just going through the one. See that black part goes right in there. And then we've got this male side. Okay, so I've now got my snaps in. And then before I show you the completed diaper, I want to show you these inserts. So with these inserts, this is our absorbent layer. Our plan is to put 2 in each diaper, but we also can just put 1 in if it's a smaller baby and they're not saturating the pad as fast. These measure 15 inches long by 4.5 inches wide. And what we do is we can then take these inserts, and here's our back opening. We can just put this right in. I'm just gonna hold it down here. And then you just wanna make sure it can lay flat. This is the reason why we did these snaps at the beginning, because if we hadn't and we waited till the end, they would have come through this inside layer and we wouldn't have been able to pull that absorbent pad all the way up. Okay, so that absorbent pad is in. We can do another one, 3 if we need to. I think 2 is gonna be just fine. And then let's show you the finished diaper. So these right here, these bottom ones will make it so you can snap it up. The reason why we have so many of these snaps is because this is a universally sized diaper. It makes it so it can fit the smallest of small, or they can let out these bottom snaps and it can make it quite a bit bigger. So for my purposes, because I like the brand new itty bitty newborns, I'm gonna show you the smallest diaper. So I'm gonna snap that all the way up, and then these on this side are gonna snap all the way to the inside. I'm gonna do the same on this side. Okay, so that's our little diaper. And it will, it's got just that one pad in it. It's got room for their little cute legs, and it's really, really tiny. So this is what we're gonna do. Thank you so much. Okay, so here's the difference. These are the diapers when they're made at their smallest. And this is the diapers when they're made at their biggest, so, or unsnapped enough to go out to their biggest. So there's quite a bit of a difference, and the reason why we're doing this is because we only have limited supplies and we want to give them diapers that will last them a really, really long time. The other thing too, we did use a lighter colored thread here. I honestly don't care which color thread you use. We did specifically use this lighter color so you could see the stitching that we were doing for this demonstration. But if you do, we want the thread to be 100% polyester. That is the best for absorbency, and then also antibacterial as well. And then as long as it's 100% polyester, you can pick ones that will match. And then one more thing too, you need a very sharp needle on your sewing machine just to help get through this kind of plasticky layer of the diaper. So again, thank you so much for helping us out. We really appreciate it. And let me know if you have any questions.